Welcome to Jeffro's Game Room, and today I have a PS4 that I'm going to take apart and clean because they have a tendency to get very dirty inside. The main tool that you're going to need is a Torx T9 security bit. You can see there's a little hole in the middle of it. In case you don't know, the PS4 gets very dirty inside. And when that happens, it gets very loud, to the point where I've had to actually turn up the volume on my TV so I can actually hear the game. If you've had this issue, you may find that this video will be a helpful guide. So first, you're going to start with taking off the panel that is intended to access the hard drive if you decide to upgrade your hard drive. So you see there's a bunch of dust. We'll be taking care of that. And be sure to make note of the screws. The interior screws are silver and the exterior screws are black. Like I said, the exterior screws are black, so we're going to remove those as well. And just one last screw here. I almost forgot it actually. Now these plastic panels are very stubborn, so you do have to be very careful and take your time. I prefer to do this without a screwdriver, a small thin tip screwdriver, if I can, but if you do have to, just be careful to not break any of the plastic. Like I said, they are very stubborn, but if you take your time, it will come off without breaking anything. And once again, you can see all that dust in there. And now for the bottom plastic panel, I just put a microfiber cloth down so we don't damage any of the internals. For the bottom panel, you want to start pulling from the back of the console. Once again, being very careful. More dust, of course. There's plenty of dust in this thing. Most of it's in the fan, and that is going to be where we're going to focus most of our time. All the dust inside the console I'll be removing with my compressor. You can also use compressed air canisters. You can buy them at I think Shoppers Drug Mart, or even a computer supply store, or like Basics, something like that. I'm also going to remove the power supply unit, which will allow more access to the fan and also allow us to clean out the power unit itself much easier. Now there are two long screws here. These are the only ones, if I'm not mistaken, that are Phillips. The rest are the T9 Torx security bit. Now with all the screws removed, we're going to gently and carefully remove it. Of course, removing this little wire connector that I almost forgot about. And it is very important to be careful because this is probably one of the more important components. It does provide power to the system. Without it, the system simply will not work. And there we go, safely removed. Can't really see that well in the video, but there's quite a bit of dust inside of that. We're gonna blow that all out with the compressor, like I said earlier. And right here provides more access to the fan to better clean it, to ensure that we get the most dust out of there as possible. Now before blowing it out with the air compressor, I'm going to loosen up all the dust on the fan. Otherwise a lot of it will simply just stay there. A lot of it has stuck to the fan itself quite nicely, and doing this will ensure we get as much dust out of the system as possible. Okay, so all the plastic panels that don't have any electrical components attached to them, I'm going to wash with just warm water and dish soap. And these I'll be blowing all the dust out with my air compressor. And if you're going to use an air compressor, be sure to empty the moisture out of your compressor, or get yourself a moisture trap for your compressor. Now I've gone ahead and done all that already. That's nice and clean. Also the system nice and clean. As you can see, the fan is black now instead of gray. And you're going to notice that things are going to go back together much smoother than how they came apart. Going back to earlier in the video where I said make note of where the screws come from, this is where that comes in handy. We want to be sure that everything's going back to where it came from. The exact screw doesn't necessarily have to be in its exact hole, but make sure the proper screws are in the proper hole. Like I said, the silver ones are for the interior, and the black ones are for the exterior. Okay, so these are nice and clean now. I've washed them with soap and water and dried them off with the compressor to make sure there's no residual moisture. Like I said earlier, much easier putting the PS4 back together. The panels are intended to be put on quite easily and not intended to be taken off easily. Also thought I would mention that this is the model just before the Slim. It's all matte and has the mechanical buttons instead of the static buttons like the original. The model SKU is CUH1215A, just in case anybody cares. Okay, so the PS4 is all ready to go. I want to thank my good friend Brady. He let me borrow his system so I could make this video because I need to record it with my system, and I've also already done my system this year. And also want to thank everybody for watching. I'll leave you guys with a little bit of gameplay demo and make sure system is working all in order. And please like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. And continue coming back for more videos. I got more in the works as we speak.